Welcome to Brenda Beattie's Brushstrokes, and I'm Brenda Beattie. This channel is all about art, drawing, painting with acrylics, watercolors, and ink. It has tips and tricks, as well as step-by-step tutorials. If you're new to this channel, please subscribe and press the bell so that you'll be notified each time I create a new video.
Today's video is going to be about the wet in wet technique. I'm going to show you how to do a quick sky, and then we'll go on to do a more complicated painting. I'm going to show you a quick way of doing a sky. We wet the paper, so with the sky about here. Then I use a bigger paintbrush. I'm going to use some phthalo, some ultramarine, and some purple, and I meant to use burnt sienna, but I used burnt umber. I think that'll be fine. This is going to be a really dark, cloudy sky. So that's it. You just put a few streaks of paint in and just let it happen. And then I'll let it dry. Today we're going to do some wet in wet, and I have already sprayed my paint so it's soft. I've made a purple, and I'm going to do wet the paper, and we're going to do a snow scene. And sometimes when it's hazy out, I got a little bit of blue on here by accident. When it's hazy out, the snow seems to look pink. You ever noticed? Anyway, I think it does. So we're going to use the purplish pink color to paint. I'm wetting the paper. You don't have to wet everything. You just have to wet where you're going to do the wet and wet paint. And this is, well, it's kind of tricky. It doesn't, you don't have much control, so you never know what you're going to get. You just have to sort of let go and let whatever happen, happen. We want to wait until it's not too shiny. And right now my paper is quite shiny. I've wetted at the top and a little bit in this corner. So maybe I'll put a little paint right here because it's all right if it flows a lot. And up here, it's really hard to tell if it's going to be too wet or too dry. So I'm going to do, I'm trying to make this look like a forest in the background. And wet in wet is marvelous because it surprises you. You just don't know what you're going to get. And one of the things I'm trying to remember is that trees are all different heights. So you don't want them all to have the same height. Go in and change some of the heights. And you can go back in while it's still wet and add some more detail if you want to. I'm hoping that this will look like trees in the foreground. I think it should work. So you get a really good misty feeling with this. Maybe a little tree in here. That is not a very good little tree. There, maybe. So the paint just flows. goes where it wants. I'm going to make it a little darker. So right now I'm using dioxazine purple and permanent red. Whoa, too much red. A little more purple. I just want to check the color, make sure I'm not too far off. I think that's all right. Now I think my paper's still wet over here. You can tell where it's wet if it's cool. Not quite sure if this is wet enough for what I want. It might be a little wetter further down. Yes, I've come into some. So I put a little more water on my brush just to make it a little more watery. I was letting it dry just a little bit, and then I'm going to put another tree in. See if it looks like it's in the foreground in front of the other ones. So I might have to wait and let this dry a bit. Now I'm going to let it dry. Perhaps just a little water down here might bring this down a little more. This is like a graded wash down here. So I'm just going to let that dry, and then I'm going to paint something over top in the foreground. I might tip it up and just let the paint flow a little more. I was painting flat this time because I didn't want the water to run. Now I'll let it run a bit and then I'll let it dry. So now I have something drawn here. I don't know if you can see it or not. I drew a pine tree full of snow and just another dead sort of stick sticking out of the snow. I have to decide now what colors I'm going to use. Should I continue with the color I have? I want to make it a little darker, so I think I will use the purple and maybe just add a little blue to it. A little ultramarine, make it darker. See how that looks. Really not sure. I'll use this gray. This is got a little bit of burnt umber in it, and I'm using my number 6 Kolinsky sable, and I'm just going to use it to do the tree here. So here's the finished painting. The trees in the background turned out quite nicely. I like those, but as far as the tree in the foreground goes, I think if I were to do it again, I would mask that tree out before I start. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you give it a try. And let me know what you think in the comments. I always read them.